Hi, everyone. I'm your host today on Around Town with Tom and Jason. Jason,
Good morning.
welcome to the show. We have a very, very cool guest.
We
today.
do.
Tracy Hayes, the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Wow. That's all I can tell you. You are the Larry King of real estate agent interviews. I've witnessed probably about 40% of your 248 that you've done so far. The who's who of real estate. How did you get started in this?
It really was a crossing of two paths.
Yeah.
I'm a John Maxwell fan.
Oh, yeah.
I read his books.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things he talks about is influence and credibility. I'm in the mortgage world, as
Yes,
you know,
sir.
with you. And
Yep.
I wanted to reach out to real estate agents. And somehow this guy popped on my Facebook feed talking about how doing a podcast could help you gain influence and credibility. I said, that's fun. I've never even listened to a podcast before. So ended up hiring the gentleman as a coach. And 3 or 4 months later, I had the first episode out in June of 21.
So in June of
Oh, wow.
21, I heard about his first episode, Jason, and I was like, and he came to me, we kind of talked about it, and I said, interesting. You know how I'm a positive guy. I said, show me. This guy not only did it, he has become the main player of it, and it's grown. And you, I remember your 100th podcast that you did with Cole Slate.
That's right.
100th podcast, and where he started to where he was after 100 was incredible. Tell us how you pick your opportunities and look at things for right now.
Yeah, well, initially when I got started, it was just people that I knew that
Yeah.
would just come in.
Yeah.
And I'll throw out there. CC Underwood was my
Yeah.
my first get. I didn't videotape it, which I'm trying to get her back on because now I obviously do video.
Yeah.
And that's one of the evolutions. When you do so
Yeah.
many episodes, you get better and better every time.
Yeah.
As we call it a mom and pop shop operation that I'm running there, basically producing myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, type of thing. But now, for instance, last night, the agents oftentimes are on social media. I put all the episodes out on social media. They'll pop up, say, hey, we had a great month, or there's $1 million month, or now, right, being January, hey, in 2024, I did so much. And some of them, I don't even know who these agents are. So that's one area where I see them on there, go, oh, that'd be a good rest. And hit them back on Instagram and say, I'd love to have you on the podcast. And oftentimes it's like, hey, I'd be honored. Oh, I'd love to do that, and then we schedule up. So
The thing that I find, Tracy, that you do very, very well, and is if you do a pregame, you actually figure out who you're working with and get some stats, facts, and figures. His research that he does is incredible, and you make the interview very, very well-rounded. And quite frankly, he gives the agent a dossier of how they got in the business and all the organics that separate them from others.
Yeah.
Tell us how you have become such a good interview person.
Well, that was the hiring the coach at the beginning was crucial, although it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But he had done so many interviews himself.
Yeah.
If you don't have a little bit of information on your guests, which I've been on podcasts where they didn't know information, they didn't know anything about me. It's like, hey, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
So I go on, first place I go is LinkedIn.
Yep.
That's one place I go. And then I go through all their social medias because most of them have a website in their bios and stuff, just to get a little background skeleton of it.
Yeah.
And then it just creates a conversation of a podcast because I always like to pull that one nugget out or maybe a quote on their LinkedIn or on their website and throw it at them and say, hey, what did this quote mean to you?
Yeah.
And, just to know that I actually went a little deeper than just say, hey, come on in, let's get in front of the camera.
That's his classic left hook that he gives you. It's kind of like what we do on our show.
We do, yeah.
I'm going to throw out Travis Chappell.
Yeah.
He was my coach. He lives out in Vegas.
How about that?
He has a podcast now. He's almost to 1,000 episodes, I think, now with his. But he's had people like John Maxwell on, Grant Cardone, and those type of Shaq and those type of guys.
Legit. Outstanding. I've witnessed and respected it many times. We also kind of dabble in the Mortgage Athlete podcast. We have fun with that. We kind of recognize other, I call them athletes in people's careers. You become, wildlife expert.
Yeah.
You become an athlete.
It's your profession.
And you're always working on your craft. Tracy, you've done a phenomenal job. Now that you've had a front row to 248, and you also have been in the business for many, many years, real estate, mortgage, your wife's a real estate agent, all kinds of stuff. Our special part on our shows, we talk about the critters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jason, hit them up.
Yeah, so coming from the pest control world, we love interviewing these agents, and we talk to them almost on a daily basis. We have people calling in with just some crazy stuff happening, right? Like we pulled ducks out of chimneys, raccoons out of attics, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. This Christmas break has been crazy, just a lot of crazy stuff going on. We always like to ask what's the most unique or the wildest or the most common issue you've seen with pest control or wildlife from your side of it.
Yeah, I have a personal story.
Yeah.
We had something was scratching in the attic, and we could hear it up there. We thought it was the squirrels got in.
Yeah.
And it turned out, you probably know the type of rat or whatever that gets up in there, but that's what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
We had a service come out. They put some Slim Jims on it with some traps. After about I don't know if it was even a week, they came and cleared out the traps, and we didn't hear anymore. And then they obviously sealed up the outside, and it's been 2 or 3 years. We haven't had any.
Yeah, that's awesome. It happens more often than people think.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that'll tell us, I've been in my house for 20 years. I've never seen a rat. Why now? Why my house? Why now? It just, you never.
I would imagine you're getting some calls now because we're having a little longer cold spell than we normally have.
Yeah, so that's a great point. In the cold weather, as we start getting into every year, October, November, December, and you have a couple of cold snaps, those animals start going inside, and then even kind of to that same effect going into the springtime, that's going to be breeding season, so these animals are looking for what they consider a safe place to have their babies and raise them. So we start getting an uptick. It gets really, really busy for us from December all the way into June and July.
Wow.
Tim.
Tracy, looking forward, what's next for you?
Going to cross the 250 mark.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully will be by the end of January from the episode. I am actually working right now, getting every transcript from every show, and I want to create a book out of it.
Wow.
And the baseline of the book is, if you ever read Grit by, which I gave you the book.
Yeah.
Angela Duckworth, Grit. The basis of it, I feel every real estate agent has grit.
Yes, sir.
You're out there on your own a lot of times. Sometimes you have support, sometimes you don't, but a lot of them come through adversity. And the stories that I've heard from some of these, there's a lot of, whether it's a single mom, had a Daniela Tone, if I pronounced her name correctly, she literally 2008 had a mortgage business, went belly up bankrupt. She had lost everything, and now she's one of the best real estate agents in all of Jacksonville. So there's a lot of stories like that, all the way back to the beginning. So compiling. So that's kind of the grit of that, where a lot of these agents have come from. For instance, the lady I was just talking about, Instagram, she was a teacher for 17 years. That's very common. Wow. So where these agents are coming from before they go into their real estate career is another chapter in there. So that's what I'm actually working on with all my transcripts from the show. Yeah,
I'm uber proud of you. Thank you for being on our show today. I'm so jacked, and I've witnessed and respected this for 3.5 years, I guess, and just incredible journey of the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Well, guys, thanks for being a part of the show today. If you'd like to learn a lot more about the Real Estate Excellence Podcast, just go to thedailynewsnetwork.com and check us all out. Cheers.